everyone. It's Sunday once again. I'm really sorry that we're a bit behind, but so like all these technical things, technical issues. But anyways, we're here. It's nearly like 1:45 in the afternoon in the UK, and it's 8:45 in the evening in Manila. I hope some of you, my dear friends, especially my dear fellow New Wavers, are still up and watching us. I'm really excited about today's guest because, as we know, I'm a Philippine. I'm from the Philippines originally, and when I was a teenager, we loved new wave music, and he probably wouldn't agree that this is new wave, but one of the songs that we really loved that in the Philippines was when I was young is a song called "Love Me Simple" by Tuesday Blue, and I'm so glad that the drummer of this band is actually here with us today. So, my dear friends, please welcome Ray Fean. Yay!
And as the drummer, Anna.
Oh wow! I think I should have that as for a jingle of Ask the Drummer or something.
I might make you one. You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
Really good
How
to
are
see you.
you? Yeah.
Is the whole world out there, or is that just an urban myth?
Oh no, it's everywhere. So I've got friends in America as well, in Canada,
Hello,
and
friends. Hello,
but
everyone.
hopefully my friends in the Philippines, because like what I said to you before, and I'm actually surprised that you didn't know because
Astonished. I was astonished. Yeah. I mean, you just don't think of these things. If someone said, "Now, where do you think you're being played in the world at the moment?" I'd probably say nowhere. But to say the Philippines would be, I'd say if I got it right, I should go out and do the lotto straight away.
Oh.
I'd never imagined. No, I never did.
Oh no. Well, we will talk about Tuesday Blue later on, but I really want to say thank you to you, and also I just want to do a massive shout out to Alvin Santiago of the Muted Squalls, because he's the one who actually introduced us together, and so I sent you a friend request. And how did you, Alvin Santiago from the Muted Squalls?
Okay, hello, Alvin, if you're watching. Thank you for that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I mean, he's probably following you and Tuesday Blue for a while now. Because yeah, so
he'd probably know more about it. Alvin would probably actually know more about it than I do, or probably any of the band for that matter, for the very simple reason that these are all surprises. Like Michael Ryan or Mick Ryan, as you know, Mick told me about this, and I thought he was taking the piss. Like, yeah, right. He says, "No, Ray, I was talking to Anna. This is real. People are listening to Tuesday Blue in the Philippines." And I was like I said, I was astonished.
Yeah. Oh, so you haven't actually been on a online conversation with Alvin, and I think it's Mick Ryan and Alvin who in touch or something.
Okay, that's
yeah. But I can tell that it's because I told you earlier that it's now weather. It's that t-shirt weather in Manchester at the moment. And I can tell that it's quite warm there in where you are.
It is here as well. Yeah. I actually got a tan in my Costadel back garden.
And you're not in Dublin, so you're in the.
No, I'm on the west coast of Ireland. I'm in a place called Shannon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Where I came from originally, and I suppose I'm kind of retired in a way, like after 42 years on the road and recording and all of that, and 27 world tours and 14 million DVDs and CDs and all that later, and I played with just about everybody, and it's been a brilliant experience. But it started to get well, I was quite exhausted actually, and I was going, and to come from away show in London on Charing Cross Road, come from away was a phenomenal success. But we did nearly up to 1,000 shows consecutively, pretty much. So, and between all the other 38 years of being on the road as well, constant airports and all that, I kind of just went, not throwing in the towel, but I had to kind of think about. I was just exhausted. I was just absolutely exhausted beyond belief. So it was time to stop at the very least for the time being. I've stopped now for a while, but running little gigs and doing stuff and being in the locale and helping out where I can and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think I got it to where I wanted to get it insofar as that I never wanted to be in one band. I did kind of abhorred the idea of that. So playing with many different situations, and I'd kind of built myself up for that. Not session work, but in lots of different bands and facilitating lots of different bands and learning from that and bringing stuff into that. And so I did all that. I got my dream, and if I kept going, I was only going to hammer something into the ground, and that something probably would have been me. So I decided to stop.
Oh, okay. But you still play drums though, occasionally.
Sadly,
So
but, yeah, I'm kind of I'm kind of out of practice, but it doesn't take too long to get things back. That's it's a bit like
yeah,
riding a bike.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. But anyway, so welcome to Ask the Drummer.
Uh,
Episode 124 is all about you, Ray Fean.
oh dear.
So can you just tell us a bit more about your background? So where were you born? Were you born in Shannon
I
or?
was born in Limerick.
Oh, Limerick, right?
Yeah, a very famous place called Garryowen, the home of the Garryowen rugby tackle. Um, and we moved up to Shannon when I was 10 months old. And next thing, it was a brand new town. I was only 10, or at 10 months old, I didn't know anything. And there was great opportunity here between the new airport. Duty free was being set up for worldwide by Chuck Feeney. There was a industrial estate. So that's the reason why my parents went to Shannon. And I was there playing and different bands. My first band was called, I think it was Emerald, and the second band was, a band called The Verbs. And we were, kids playing away and the whole lot and
Yeah,
really enjoying ourselves and so on. But it started to become quite serious with me when I was about 14. I knew full well that that's exactly what I was going to do. So
yeah,
from there, I started to take it very serious, and I was delighted with the idea that I had a vocation of sorts. This is what I was going to do, and
yeah,
from there, I just kept accelerating in terms of practice and getting things more right and doing gigs and going with variety of as much as I possibly could. Like grew up on Zappa and Captain Beefheart and all that, so there was nothing conventional about what I was listening to. I thought it was conventional, but
Oh, but
my buddy certainly did. It's like, what is that shite? What are you listening to? I thought, great. Like, I was delighted with myself. So it just kept accelerating. And then I got my first real proper gig in a show band, a fully fledged or a show band. Tommy Drennan and
yeah,
ourselves took off. Great. It was a great show band. I was like 18 or whatever. And I did that for a couple of years. And then off into town, I went into Limerick and, hanging out and doing all that. And I met Mike and Ralph and Dave and Tom. And Tuesday Blue had already been up and running with Mike and Ralph. And
yeah,
they would call in Dave Keary would call in the odd time and play and so on. But it became very apparent when we played together. And then we did a demo for Tunnel Vision that there was certainly something there. There was a click with Tuesday Blue, and that was it for the following 6 years. We,
yeah.
we made the album. We went to Montreux. We did all the things that we wanted, all the dreams true. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out with regards to us. We did 6 years though. We
Yeah,
did
yeah.
it together.
Well, yeah. Well,
Then,
going. Yeah, sorry.
yeah,
No, going back first, so like your beginning. So all these bands were in Shannon. Because
yeah.
what's the so like music scene like in Shannon? I mean, I can't think of from the top of my head whether there are bands that are actually famous
Yeah,
or came from Shannon.
no, there's no real. There's loads of musicians and loads of really, really good musicians. Bands wise, Shannon never really kind of produced any bands, but it did. Like for instance, my brother John, like joined Horseps, but Horseps weren't from Shannon. I joined Tuesday Blue, but Tuesday Blue weren't from Shannon, so
Yeah.
there was no real band singing in Shannon. There was bands, cover bands and stuff like that. So it wasn't a hub. Shannon was not a hub for music, but it's a great
Okay.
hub for traditional music and for people coming in and playing, and they're like as Clare and the whole Clare area generally is anyway. That's the way the music, fantastic music scene, but band
Yeah.
wise, you had to go to Limerick anyway at least.
Okay. Well, you mentioned your brother John, or
Hmm.
Johnny Fean,
Hmm.
and he's in Horse And I'm sorry, I found out that he left the planet last year, so I'm really
He
sorry
did
about
indeed.
that.
Yeah, around this time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So, you're from a musical family, but I wanted to ask you. I mean, have you always been drawn into the drums, or because he's a guitarist, right? So,
yeah,
have you tried learning how to play other instruments before you went into playing the drums?
yeah. My mother and my brother Donald were kind of egging me towards it, but I was going towards that direction anyway. And there was a brief, moment where, well, would you like to go into town, study music there, and so on, and maybe saxophone and things like that. But a strange thing occurred. I knew there was a certain rhythm in me, all right. I was in fourth class, and Miss Donnelly had assembled a school band. It was a real fantastic little clatter bang thing, and flutes and so on, whistles, and she wanted a bar player, but there was no bar player in the class, or at least so I thought. And a girl brought in a bar and a stick, and I'd been watching bands like the Chieftains and stuff on television. So I for some reason was focused on the bar and then I just happened to say to a friend, she's not playing that right. She was holding the stick all wrong and all this kind of stuff. And he put up his hand and said, Miss Donnelly, Ray can play bar. I was like, no, I can't play bar. Gary, shut up. Yeah, she says, come up. I can't let you come up. Up I went, and the band started, and I started playing, and I looked down at my hand like as if it was like part of some alien creature that had nothing to do with me. It was like I was
Oh,
playing straight
yeah,
up.
yeah.
It's kind of going, what's this? What's going on here? And I was playing away. And she says, there you go now. See, you could play the bar run, and I was like, I kind of levitated back to my seat and I sat down and went, what happened there? Like, I had no idea.
Wow. So it's
And,
natural. It came to you so like naturally, and
and I never really even thought about it. And that was it. I kind of went,
yeah.
and I knew at that particular point, that was it.
That's yeah, yeah. But this is you're talking about like a traditional Irish. So like
yeah, yeah, but it is. But I mean, the innate sense of rhythm was more the surprise that I had than any other instrument that you would play. The instrument
yeah,
didn't matter. It was the actual innate sense of rhythm that I was completely surprised with, because I knew if I could do that, all I have to do is transfer to sticks, up they go, and off I go as well. So it was all that kind of like in the grooves and
yeah,
all, and that's just the way it went. That was
yeah.
it, you know.
Because I often sort of like ask the drummers who are on the show about this thing that it's got to be in you. That of course you can sort of like go to a tutor or have some drumming
Yeah,
lessons, but it's
yeah.
got to be in you first. It's got to be natural, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
You're better off if it is in you, because if you have that innate understanding of rhythm, it's like there's nothing gets by me in terms of like, this sounds silly, but if a plate drops down somewhere, I'll hear the rhythm in that. Like if a knife and fork drop on the table, I'll have made that bar straight away. That's just something I do. So if someone goes like, and I go dun 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 directly afterwards. So I pick up all that rhythm. I've been doing that since I was a kid. Second to hear something, I'll have it as a bar in my head, and I just loop it, and it goes round and round.
oh wow.
It sounds quite silly, but that's something I've been doing all my life. That's
Yeah,
that, that's my understanding of it. If you don't have an innate sense of rhythm, you have to learn it, and eventually you can break that barrier, jump over that, and get through it or whatever,
yeah.
and
But
then you're in. You
yeah,
know.
did you actually have like proper drumming lessons after you realized that you can actually do this?
I did. I went to a brilliant drummer in Dalkey in Dublin, a chap by the name of Johnny Wadham, and he was fantastic. He was so inspiring. he made me take down manuscript as opposed to drumming, but I just loved being there because then I was about 13, 13, yeah. And I just thought this was the business. It was just, and that kind of completely reiterated my idea and ideals about drumming, about music. And I was kind of going,
Yeah.
yeah, I really felt, yeah, this is great. But I think one of the most powerful moments. Let's see if I can find it for you now. One moment.
Okay.
Uh, now let's see. Okay, so one of the most powerful moments. There we go.
Oh, horse lips. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to point out something to you. Let's see now if I can find a page. I've probably gone down a silly road here, but when John arrived back in 1972, I think it was, with the Happy to Meet, Sorry to Part album under his arm, or a box of them under his arm, he came in through the back door Christmas Eve, and it was absolutely phenomenal feeling of, this is, so yeah, just do that quickly for a start.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's when I joined the band.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
previous to that, like I was saying, when John came in the back door with all these albums under his arm, I think he pulled them out onto the table, and his friends were calling in, he was signing them, and I just went, if I ever had a doubt about being in a band, it was over. It was absolutely over. Like, I went, this
Yeah.
is definitely it,
Well,
And
that photo, that's some drum setup you've got there. It's like loads of sort like
yeah,
bits.
that's the we're actually in Red Rocks, Colorado at that point with Celtic Woman.
Right,
So
okay,
there's
yeah,
loads
yeah,
of shots out there if you want to, man. And just by all accounts, there's tons of material. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, Aiden, you met him earlier when we were sort of like doing the
yeah.
solving the problem. Well, Aiden is my tech support as well, and he said that sound and picture are excellent, which is good. And he's Irish. Well, his parents were Irish, but he's born here in Manchester or in Stockport. And he said that his parents got married in Limerick in 1942.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah. I mean, I've actually been to. I don't know. If, maybe you do know it's Abbeyfield, a place
Oh
called
God, yeah, I do know. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's County
I
Limerick.
have been there.
More to the point, you got out of there.
Yeah.
I got out of
But,
Abbeyfield.
yeah. But anyway, so you mentioned now because you've had your like early bands when you were in Shannon,
Yeah.
and then you joined the show band, but then you went to Limerick and you met the members of Tuesday Blue because they were already going. They were like a trio.
A trio at that point. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. So, right, how did it go though? So, because I was googling them and I found out that they were using a drum machine in 1983, so they didn't have like a proper drummer.
Well, they had a guy called Liam. Sorry, they had a guy. Liam used to come in and out, and he would drum now and again. But Liam Darcy had a job and stuff, and it was one of those things that he wasn't going to stay with the band. But it was obvious that it needed a drummer and stuff like that, and I just seemed to fit the criteria. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, did you just met them and then they said that they wanted the proper drummer, and then so like you're available, so you join?
It was a scene. So we were all. I was playing with different bands who could dance. Like we'd all be joining in and kind of we were forming this scene in Limerick, which was brilliant at the time because we had venues to play in, unlike we'd say the way it is today. And there was lots of bands trying it on, making their own music, writing their
Yeah,
own songs. And the whole Tuesday Blue thing was kind of obvious that I was in town all the time and I wasn't in any one band per se. I was gigging and stuff with different things, a jazz band as well. But it became obvious that, Ralph, Mick, Dave, and myself were actually going to form this, new version of Tuesday Blue. And that was obvious that was going to happen. I think everyone just gravitated that way.
yeah.
And then we got Tom Jones in on keyboards, but that's not unusual.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tom Jones.
Really? But it is Tom Jones on keyboard.
Yeah, that's
Me, Tom Jones.
right. So, Well, so that's the start of it, and because obviously Limerick
Oh,
is, when it comes to like the music scene, there's more to it. And I mean the Cranberries. I mean Dolores, she was from Limerick, right?
oh yeah,
She's
they are like, they're the real darlings. Like they are, the amount of work they did, and they always kept it
yeah,
Limerick. Greatly admire that. Great people. Very sad in the end, but Dolores, unfortunately,
yeah,
I'd say she'd be writing great songs if she was about now, right now. But yeah, the Cranberries are, and they're so
yeah,
humble, but they're fantastic, fantastic lads.
yeah. Well, so Tuesday Blue. I mean, this is all sort like from Google, from Wikipedia, and other sort of like articles that I've read about Tuesday Blue. So
Mhm.
you represented Ireland in Euro Rock Festival, apparently. I mean, this is not Eurovision. I mean, we had Eurovision yesterday, I think. I don't know
Yeah.
if you watched it. Did you watch it?
I did. I like it's gotten to the point where it's it's kind of like a sensory overload. I mean, it's just it's constant razzle dazzle, and when the guy actually sang his song at the end of it with no lights and just said Switzerland in the background, I could hear what he was doing. It's just so. I just thought it was too much of an onslaught. But
Yeah,
still, it gets bigger every year, and that's Eurovision. That's just the way it is.
yeah. And it's what did you think of the Irish representative, the
Okay,
Ireland one?
we're talking about please her name. Uh,
I mean, I didn't watch it because I was at a gig last night, so I was.
yeah, I'll
I'm
think
sure
of it.
Aiden will tell
Um,
me. I mean, Aiden,
but
what's her name?
yeah, Bam,
Bambi.
Barbie.
Oh yeah, sorry, Bambi. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Bambi. I think that's her name. Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
this is terrible. Barbie something. Barbie Tug.
yeah, yeah.
Is it?
I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah,
yeah. Anyway, as a concept, you'll have to edit all that out. As a concept, I was listening and kind of going, okay, big goth. This is to the first part of the song, and I was kind of going, Doomsday Blue. Okay, I said that sounds like Tuesday Blue.
yeah,
God knows we were doomed as well. But anyway, um, listen to it and going, this actually there's something very, very powerful about this. And then it hit the chorus, and it's a jazz chorus against, we'd say, goth rock, death metal, and then it hits this jazz format. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. I really,
yeah.
really did. I listened to it again to make sure I heard it right. And the really clever thing about it is
Sorry about that. It's from the.
there's not a station family there.
yeah,
And the thing with it is, it was really, I just thought it was really, really powerful, new format, nearly,
yeah,
goth and death with jazz inversions, and then back into
yeah,
that
yeah,
again. I just thought it was wonderful. I really, really
yeah.
did. So yeah,
Well, Aiden says Bambi Thug. That's her
Bambi
name.
Talk. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'd be sorry about that, Bambi. I'll get it right next time.
No, yeah. But going back to this Euro Rock Festival, I mean that was held in Liverpool. So
Yeah.
what was it like? I mean, was it just a one-off, or did they have it
Uh,
every year?
No, I'm not sure exactly what that whole concept was about. I think it was an attempt at doing a rock version of, we'd say, the Eurovision in a manner of speaking. That's the
Ah,
impression I got from it, because there was many different bands. But the only thing about it was, it wasn't really a Eurovision competition. It was like all bands from coming in from everywhere. Um,
yeah.
it's a wonderful, wonderful life.
Oh yeah, Black. Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
they had released that just previous, and it went out to millions, and that's what broke. I think very much helped to break them. I can't remember their
oh,
name
yeah.
now. Black is the name of
Black.
the band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Black. Yeah,
And stuff like that. So it had a great purpose. It helped, like, to a good extent, launch any possibility that we may have had in Europe. But the only thing about it was, we were only brand new. We had no real infrastructure, but we got a break through RTE. So
yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't have a chance even to kind of react to it properly. So
All right. But it was a
let it,
good experience for
yeah, great
for
experience.
Egyptians.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
great fun. We had great fun doing it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mentioned before to you that I messaged you that "Love Me Simple," especially
Hmm.
that song. I mean, a lot of Filipino bands they cover that because
I
it's
couldn't
such a
believe that.
it's like it's
Wow.
such a beautiful song. And then the album Shibumi, is it Shibumi? I mean,
Kaboom. Yeah. Hmm.
it, it's
Hmm.
so like. is that an Irish word, or because it's like a Japanese, so like
I think it is something Oriental, all right. It's a book,
Yeah.
and Mike was reading that book, and the art of Shibumi. I think, if from what a brief thing I've learned, whatever this guy's modus operandi is, he can kill you with a sheet of paper, type of thing. He's got this art form, where. But the concept of the book, I don't really know what it's about, but it's just something that Mike liked, and it ended up being called Shibumi. So it's
Oh,
no real meaning for us, if you know what I mean. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
there's
It's
no
just a
real.
really nice
It's
title
just
for an album. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's a well sought after records. In fact, I haven't seen any Tuesday Blue record because I work in a record shop in
right,
Manchester.
yeah,
I have never seen Shibumi, a copy of Shibumi, either CD or vinyl or
yeah,
Tuesday or the Tunnel Vision single or the Love Me Simple single.
yeah,
I haven't seen any. And I'm just so like wondering what happened. Maybe if I go to Ireland, maybe they'll have copies of those. So
yeah.
like record
I so many get released, and if they don't pop off the shelves quickly, they're slow to um, release a second round, so to speak. So the first round has to sell, and that's through marketing and radio play and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
we never really got out of the box in that respect. So consequently, um, there isn't a flood or a glut of Tuesday Blue out there at all by any means. But the
yeah,
odd one comes in, and friends have come up to me. I've been given three formats, two of them uh, CDs of
yeah.
Shibubi. My brother-in-law Alan has one of them, and I have another one. Which is the first time I've had a copy of the album in I couldn't tell you how long. And recently I received the 12-inch version of Tunnel Vision, the Mother Records version of it, and
Wow.
that was through a friend, Derek. Brought that into me, so that's going up in a music room down in a place called the Lodge here in Shannon. We're putting together a whole memorabilia wall and all that kind of stuff. So
Oh, that's brilliant.
yeah. So that's as much as I've had contact with it, and I'd say that's the reason why it just. And people actually are still talking about the band very sparsely and so on, but everyone hangs on to their albums. Anyone that has one,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I was gonna say that it's just one of those like bands or releases that if you have it, you don't sell it or you don't.
yeah,
So
well, exactly. Yeah, I mean that in
yeah,
itself is quite flattering. People wouldn't be bringing it into the record shop,
yeah, yeah.
with a bunch of CDs getting 50 quid or whatever it is. That's
Yeah,
just
that's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully, I mean, I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that someday it will turn up in my place of work at King B, so I
okay.
can get a copy of it.
Okay, all right, okay, good to hear.
But so I have seen a clip on YouTube of Tuesday Blue. I mean, this is really strange because you performed on the Late Late Show with
Oh,
Gay Bell,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you were just so like you came back from Russia
yes,
at the time,
yes.
and it's so like weird because he talked to you about it. And is that true though that you performed in Russia and you earned? Well, I mean, they paid you a lot of money, but you couldn't take it back. Is that right?
Everything you hear us talk about in Russia is absolutely true. Now, it was the best touring experience I've ever had. I didn't enjoy it an awful lot at the time. It was during Glasnost and Perestroika, um, which there was a whole new Gorbachev regime going on there, and you could feel it. There was a shift in the kind of people, and there wasn't enough bread on shelves and stuff like that. So when when we got there, it's when we touched the ground, we realized, that the country was, quite poor actually, and somewhat behind,
Yeah.
the rest of the world, like in terms of economy. But nonetheless, it was a fantastic experience. It's all true. It's real.
Yeah.
We went over. To we played in a circus, we played in an arena, we played in all these different places. But it was a very enjoyable experience. But by the same token, I was kind of glad to get home,
Yeah.
uh, and maybe realize how well off we are over in this side of the world. Well, at the time, it did,
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic experience. But we left. from Shannon Airport on Aeroflot.
Oh yeah, I remember Aeroflot. Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's photographs out there of that, isn't there? Just you know, just, yeah. Well, the thing about it is we're up in the duty free, and the guy with all the stuff on his chest, all the stripes and everything, he's the captain, but he's at bar and he's got a bottle of Smirnoff, and he's like, "He does, let's throw me a picture of him." And we're going, "This guy's going to fly the plane, like." Oh,
Oh God, yeah.
we're doomed. We're doomed. So next we do get in the plane, and he kind of staggers onto the plane. We're like, "Oh, gee, we should get off
Oh
this,
God.
get off this plane." And one of the ladies, the head hostess, goes, "Yeah, shut up." She wears into him anyway, and he sits down in the chair. The co-pilot flew the plane, not the captain. So the co-pilot is flying, captain's in the chair, and he's fallen off to sleep and so on. We're
Oh
just
no.
so relieved, but he gets up and he goes, "Hey," and he calls me over. Now we're flying, we're well up in the air. This particular point, and he goes, looks at me, he goes, "10 years after." And I go, "What's really?" He goes, "Led Zeppelin. I love him." He says rock bands. He loves rock
Yeah.
bands. So
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
pissed and so on. And then he takes me down into the cargo hole to show me a picture of his daughter, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
we kind of go, like the lads are kind of looking, where is he going with the captain? And he wants me to marry her.
Oh no. Oh my.
So he wants me to bring her back to
To Ireland.
Ireland. Yeah, and marry her. So she will be okay. She won't have to stay in Russia, type of thing. I mean, you couldn't get out of Russia at the time unless you got married. So that was my first revelation as to what are we kind of walking into here. This is very, very different. Um,
Yeah.
there was an awful lot of people who would love to have even defected out of Russia at that particular point. So the atmosphere was quite tense in there. Um,
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it was a great experience, and yeah, that's what happened. We got home, and I was
So
glad to get.
what was your reaction? What did you say to the captain when you
Oh, she's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. And he probably went back. He went back upstairs. I went back over to the lads, and I was telling him what happened, and he probably fell asleep and forgot all about it.
Oh
But it,
my God.
it was just that revelation of people trying to get their relatives out of the country.
Out
Out
of
of
the country, yeah, yeah. But how did you actually get to play in Russia? And did you know that that's what's going to happen? That you're going to get paid, but you won't be able to like get any money. You just have to
Yeah.
goods or
Um,
something.
yeah, we were well, like told in advance. You see, at that particular point, Tuesday Blue had kind of decided to throw in the towel. Like we'd kind of had enough of struggling, and we were offered this gig with another band called Zuku, and as two bands, we went out there, so we knew exactly what was happening. We knew that we'd earn boxes of these rubles and stuff. And so be it. Like we accepted that. We accepted we'd be looked after. We accepted the fact that when we get back out of Russia, that's it. We're actually going our separate ways, which we did. And we just buy things, like just buy stuff to bring home, different,
Yeah.
boutiques and stuff like that. Actually, you weren't allowed to bring a boutique out of the country, but I smuggled it out as a pair of underpants, so that was okay.
Oh. Well, the presents that you gave Bern, those were really lovely.
Yeah, that's a boutique,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we came back with money and even if you did have money left, they would ask it for you. You would say you have to drop it over to that hatch over there, and you weren't allowed to bring that out of the country either. It was
Oh,
very
really?
screened. Yeah, it was very, very screened. Everything was at the time. They were watching everything. We had as interpreters, we had two KGB with us. Now they look like normal people, and in certain places like Kursk, we had three KGB people with us, but they
Yeah.
just masqueraded as normal tour guides and so on. But they're watching your every move because we left on Aeroflot, and we were doing interviews and all that. So it was noted that these guys are coming over from the West or from Ireland, so it was in their interest to make sure that nothing happened to us and so on. And they were lovely to work with, but you knew underneath it all they're
Yeah.
from. You
But you
know.
never felt like you're in danger or anything.
No, there was only one brief moment where the people misinterpreted something. I can't quite remember what it was, and it got a little out of hand. Nothing that we did ourselves, nothing that Tuesday Blue did.
Yeah.
Um, and they were told in no uncertain terms, back off. Like, and they said what they said in Russian, and they backed off straight away. It was obvious to say like we're KGB, so don't do this, or whatever it was they had
Oh,
in mind.
yeah.
So yeah, that was a slightly hairy moment, but nothing really.
Yeah. Well, the most important question that I wanted to ask you is that TV show. I don't know if you remember what you were wearing. It's kind of, is that like a Russian sort of like pair of trousers?
Mm.
It's sort of like
Those ones that are put up around my neck, is it?
no, I think it's like I don't know those Russian dancers. It's all like it's really
Yeah,
baggy around,
and
so like they were
pretty
very
awful
tight.
fashion. Yeah, pretty awful fashion. I mean, Tuesday Blue looked like an international darts team, so like we weren't the kind of sexiest band in the world. Well, yeah, that was my drumming gear at the time.
Your drum gear,
Not for sure. Oh, gee, yeah.
right? Well, I've also realized that that the same time frame that you were in Tuesday Blue, you were
Mhm.
also in another band called No Sweat.
That came
Is that?
afterwards.
Oh, is that?
We
Okay, yeah,
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 that was a thing that we were doing. A thing called Lark in the Park, and I was playing with Tuesday Blue. Naturally, we were all playing. There was a band by the name of No Sweat there who had spotted me, um, but they had their own drummer, their own band. I don't know how that was working out for them or whatever, but that drummer didn't work out in the end.
yeah.
But they had like a couple of the band members had kind of watched me in action, so to speak. And as soon as that guy left, um, No Sweat, I was asked to join straight away. Now I was only out of Tuesday Blue, we'd say less than a week at that particular point, and 2 weeks later I was over in Dublin in Ireland and in the band No Sweat.
All
That's
right.
yeah, yeah. That's
But so, but Tuesday Blue were already gone. You've already
yeah.
separated.
Exactly. We had disbanded when we came back from Russia, but I'm saying
Yeah.
that 2 years previous, No Sweat had seen me with Tuesday Blue at Lark in the Park in Limerick, and it lasted that long.
And
So
it's just, yeah, yeah.
and they knew Tuesday Blue had split up. They called me straight away, so
So
I joined.
they waited for you too. So
Yeah,
wait
yeah.
for Tuesday Blue to split up, and then so like,
Oh, what a dream! Yeah, I'm afraid not. No, no.
because they actually you actually had like one most well the most famous song is Heart and Soul, produced by Joe Elliott, the Def Leppard as well. That was
Yeah, that's right. There was a massive friendship between Def Leppard and No Sweat, and that had existed for quite some time. And the reason for that is the manager of
yeah,
No Sweat, Mike Rogers, had been tour management for Def Leppard for a long time. So the connection was great. So when Mike Rogers started to manage No Sweat,
yeah,
uh, he introduced the band to Def Leppard, and that's how that all started.
yeah, yeah.
And Joe Elliott in particular loved the band, loved Paul Quinn's voice. He like really was knocked out with that. So he was given a huge dig out and a helping hand, and it was very very good of them to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, I
That's
haven't got a copy of that single, but what I found, like I said, I work at a record shop, is this one, which is Tear Down the Walls. But
yeah,
it's a special sort of like the
yeah,
live in Germany edition. And
right.
it's a good one because it's like a white vinyl as
I
well.
haven't a
So
clue.
and it's
Yeah,
so like the good thing about it, it's got a free badge. It's like it's
oh,
almost like we were talking about airplanes and stuff, like the captain. It
yeah.
looks almost like one of those badges that the captains wear. So I
I
don't know if
no,
you've got
no
anything to
idea.
do with it.
Yeah, no idea. No. Anna, is that actually live? Is that live from Germany?
Yeah, live in Germany. Yeah, it's a live in Germany, so like edition. It's not the regular single of "Tear Down the Walls." This is the
Yeah.
live one. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
that's good.
Bruce Dickinson in one of the rock magazines was quoted as saying no sweat, tear down the walls, makes me hard, kind of thing. Like makes me strong. And we were
Oh,
kind of going, okay, but take it as that. And yeah, so it got great reviews, as did Heart and Soul get. It's just never got to that second stage because of what I think is Seattle. We were kind of classified as somewhat corporate rock or something like that, in our
oh,
classification. And in actual fact, the whole grunge thing was breaking left, right, and center, and
yeah,
all the record companies started to go that direction. They actually went, towards Seattle and towards all the grunge bands. So the kind of thing we were doing, the appeal, there was a new kind of rock, if you like, involved
yeah.
now. So I think that also contributed to the band. I stayed there for 2.5 years.
All right, and then they also just split up after, soon
Yeah,
after that.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's
yeah,
that, that's exactly what happened. Just things kind of, and and that's it. It's time to go.
yeah.
So, mm.
And then there's another band that I actually, well, on Discogs, that's one of the places that I actually check. Your name is mentioned on, of course, Tuesday Blue and No Sweat, but not this one. This one is called the Black Velvet Band.
Yeah,
Just it's Maria Doyle from The Commitments. Is that
yes,
that's the one?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So can you
Um,
tell us can you tell us more about the Black Velvet Band?
my good buddy Dave Keary brought Kieran to see us play as No Sweat at some concert, and Kieran was more than happy to get me into the band. He just, it was whatever I was doing was the kind of thing that he wanted, and the Black Velvet Band's or our drummer had left, so they needed a drummer. So I
Oh, okay.
I went from No Sweat into that, and I was working with them for quite some time. Great band. I mean, Maria's fantastic voice, like she's really something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I gigged with them like, well, it was kind of on and off. I was gigging with other things as well, working with different. I was starting to kind of mooch my way into the session scene in Dublin, and we eventually, myself and Owen O'Neill, as bass and drums team, became the darlings of we'd say places like Westland and Windmill Lane and stuff like that. So that's where I
Oh,
kind of gravitated to, out of No Sweat into, say, the Black Velvet Band, and working sporadically in the Black Velvet Band. But the main one that happened was two main ones that happened during that particular period of time. Um, First one was Ray Lynham, who's like adored in this country, like he's just, I don't know if you know Ray Lynham, right? It's easy find him.
oh,
And I went from there into that world with my buddy Dave Keary and Jimmy Smith and everyone. We were all swirling around on O'Neill, and we were playing, and we were getting grabbed for sessions, and it eventually became that myself and Owen became, recording with up in Windmill Lane with Dana Brass through Donal Lunny, and Donal Lunny was the one that clenched the rhythm sections for Heritage, the Celts, and so on. So there was
yeah.
it was now getting very big and very powerful, and I've got like all the discs, and they're all over the walls outside and everything like that. So it started to sell. It started to go into millions now at this particular stage. So anything that we were doing um, in the studio, which artists gravitated towards, people like Carlos Nunez and people like that,
Mm.
they'd grab us because it was working. What we were doing was working. It was selling. It was making sense. And but previous to that, of course, Riverdance had occurred, and so on. And I had done a massive stunt with Riverdance before all that particular thing. Really, all the really big stuff happened.
Yeah.
And I wasn't at the very, very initial stages of Riverdance, but I was offered a situation where I would take the mantle in London, and the first group would leave. Now I was in the second group at the Hammersmith Odeon, so that's where I took a position in London, flying back over and back to work with people like Ray Lynham and Donal Lundy. And I was in and out of London the whole time. It was
Yeah,
hectic.
yeah,
It was really busy, like Planet and just everybody was just starting to
yeah,
play.
yeah.
There's a
And
lot of
yeah, well, Windmill Lane, that's you too. So like area, isn't it? Is that
Yeah,
there?
well, it's
You.
U2's. It's at the old area of Windmill Lane where we first recorded with Mother Records, U2's label, where we did the original of Tunnel Vision, Tuesday Blue. That's down by the docks, or down by a pub called the Docker, which is a very famous area. That's since moved, and it moved up to it moved up to Rings End. Oh, sorry, I beg your
Oh,
pardon. It moved into town right on Grafton Street. It left Grafton Street and then it moved to the Bobber factory down in Rings End, and that's where the vast majority of um, albums were recorded. Like and U2
yeah.
coming into it. Yeah, I worked with U2 in there. All right, we did a version of Wild Honey. I think it was from the album E- Everything That You Can't Leave Behind. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
and
what are they like? What are they like to work with?
okay, don't forget the run of our thoughts here, right? But I'll just let you in. I'll just let you in a little scenario. Uh, yeah, remember when we were promoting Tuesday Blue, myself and Mike Ryan took off. We were on a whistle stop 6 week day. It was exhausting. Like, but anyway, every station we go to, and I'll give you an example. We were in WBCN in Boston. This is the big one now. This is the one that broke you too, with Dave Fanning in Ireland that went live, and it's WBCN in Boston. Here we go. We got U2 tonight, and the whole Dave Fanning was back in Ireland. So they had a big connection there, really, really big connection. We arrived in there, and they were kind of talking briefly about, okay, you guys choose the blue, okay, welcome to WBCN and the whole lot, and asked us a few questions. And then he turns around and says, "What's Bono really like?" And I went, "Oh no." You just did it. You just did that. Don't think that I've forgotten. So, what are they like? They, well, it was Adam Clayton that was dealing with us, and they're fantastic. They're brilliant. They're workaholics. They're super duper. Great fun. A lot of people don't know Bono's a very funny man. Actually, he's quite the comedic guy. And Clayton, who we're working with, is a total gentleman altogether. Right now, how he got stuck with us, but he loved working with us. And what they're really like is, yeah, they're dead on.
Yeah.
Dead on.
Well, being a drummer, what's your sort of like relationship with Larry Mullen? Were you
There was
sort of
never,
like,
there was never any relationship with Larry Mullen. There was a brief that we'd say Adam that took a while. There's been brief innings like when I went in to play on Wild Honey, from Everything That You Can't Leave Behind. We know each other and like can chat and stuff like that.
yeah,
He said Bono and myself. He said name dropping, but um, you know. I went in to do that track, and that's kind of as much as I'd known him. You do a track. I have been in his company and all that. And yeah, dead on, absolutely dead on.
um, so would you say that as a drummer yourself, would you rate Larry Mullen as one of the
Very much.
best drummers?
God,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's got that kind of machine. That like when he was, he actually started drums in a marching band, so that's what gave him that really kind of machine like, And when you
Oh,
listen to the drum track on "I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For," that's a great
yeah,
drum. That's
yeah,
any drummer would be delighted to have that. So I would rate him, yeah. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be flash, doing all that. That's all well and good. That doesn't apply to you two. It doesn't apply to the Beatles. It doesn't apply to bands like that. What applies
yeah,
is that you're a song drummer, and you can sit in, and you can make that groove and make that song happen as a quarter part in U2's case.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what he does. Excuse me. But yeah, great drummer, totally.
yeah. That's good. Well, so I wanted to ask you about horse lips because the reason why is Aiden is actually a fan of horse lips.
Okay.
Yeah, but then you joined because when they reformed, I think recently, was it a few years ago?
Well,
The original drummer couldn't do it, or so
no,
you
as
say?
it transpired, and it's a story, all right. The band got back together for a couple of reasons. They mainly got back together to kind of see what it felt like to play music together again, but they also got back together to regain their catalog, which had been quite frankly, or quite literally, I mean, stolen from them, and all the master tapes. Yeah, this is the truth. all the master tapes were taken away, all the jurisdiction up to the north of Ireland. Anyway, the band decided to get together with Paul McGuinness, U2's manager, and retrieve their music. And as part of that, now that they were together, it was kind of felt, sure, look, let's play music, and they played music and so on. And then Dennis Desmond had kind of taken real serious note. He's like Ireland's top promoter, and he put the idea to Shea Hennessy about the band forming for what is the, at the time the Three Arena,
Yeah.
which is the old Point Depot. And Barbara, we wouldn't fill the Point Depot, and these guys, these promoters seem to be able to kind of crunch the numbers, whatever way they do it, and said, most definitely you will fill that. So it was looming, and it was looming around for about a year. And the band agreed. And Eamon, because he works for the Herald, their newspaper, and he's got deadlines, he has to, like, his columns have to go out. They just have to go out, like, and that's all there is to it. And he felt he wasn't entirely match fit for what would be the arena kind of thing as well, So between one and the other, he said,
Yeah.
what about Ray taking the seat? And that seemed like the obvious child, because of, the nature of being John's brother. It wasn't nepotism. It was more based on the idea that I would know exactly all the music inside out. It was obvious. Like, I didn't have to learn any songs. I knew them, and I retained them all. It's just a question of getting into the room and just rehearsing as a team. But they said, yeah, okay, if you really feel like you want to not relinquish position, but just hand over the seat to Ray, So, okay. I got a call in Florida from Maggie. We're on Celtic Woman tour. We were in Gainesville, and myself and Owen O'Neill and Des Moore are finished sound check, finished catering, and now we're out the back. There's a pond, and there's an alligator inside in the pond. Two beady eyes, looking out, and we're kind of going, look at this, and we're keeping our distance. And the alligator's looking at us going, breakfast, dinner. We're joking away about it and stuff. Next thing, the phone rings, and I look, and it's John's Maggie, my brother's wife.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, I immediately get a shock, and I'm going, gosh, hold on, just something. I'm working out the hour difference in my head. It's going, okay, so we're like something like 8 hours, like behind here, and she's, and anyway. I answer it, and I go, hi Maggie, how's it going? Is everything okay? Is everything all right? She says, no, it's fine. Everything is okay. Just listen, Eamon and Dennis and the lads were talking about the fact, that this gig is on in 2008 or 9. I can't quite remember. And Eamon and the lads are wondering, would you take the seat?
Yeah. And you were like,
So I levitated. I went in and wrestled the alligator.
yeah.
And then I went back into the arena, and we were about to play, and I was sworn to secrecy. You're not allowed to say this to anybody. So I just I was purring away like a cat, kind of going, "This is amazing. It's going to be great." And it was. It turned out fantastic.
And
So,
how many gigs did you do as like horse lips?
we did well. We started in Drogheda as a warm up club, and then we went to next gig was at the Odyssey Arena in Belfast. Horsetips were probably the most adored band in the north, and to this day it could be leveled with people like, we'd say, other Northern Irish bands and stuff like that. They were Horsetips were the real darlings. I mean, during that particular time, like in the 70s, it was really rough work in the north. It was very, very serious, as I think people would still remember to this day. But Horsetips went up and played, and that was it. And anyone could come to the gig, and everyone forgot their troubles for the night. That was the massive thing about it. That was one of the big areas that that was a stronghold for Horsetips, especially all across the north. And by the time we got to the Odyssey, Eamon Carr was out in the crowd. And just to give you an idea as to how powerful the band actually is, and he noticed that the mania that Horsetips used to get from the audience had somewhat waned, even though there's 8,000 people in there. It wasn't as raucous and as loud as he expected because he used to be crazy there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he looked around and he noticed that like just about half the room was in tears. They were all in floods of
Oh,
tears. They couldn't believe that the band was on stage. They just could not believe.
oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
So we went back into the dressing room. We were all, wow, that's great. And just standing there, and Jeeves
Yeah.
and just chatting. And Eamon told us the story. And I think we probably sat in silence for about ooh, 15 minutes anyway. Just sat there thinking about it, kind of looking
Just
at each other.
absorbing it in. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that was probably, I think anyway, I mean, the point at the time was unbelievable, 16,000 people losing their minds. But for me, that moment was the single most poignant of the whole return of Horselips. We carried on for another 12 years after that, doing various gigs sporadically. No, we did some tours. We did a tour of Germany. We were over in England, the Crop Ready. We did some major stuff, all right, in the concert hall with the concert orchestra, and great moments. Like, there's been fantastic moments. But the funny thing about it is, Horselips were 1970 to 1980, and then on its return, it was like 12 years. So Horselips all told did 22 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
A
Well,
great.
I actually, I only found out about that name because of Aiden, because of my husband, and I bought him a copy of an album of Host Lips, but it's not the one that he actually wanted. I can't remember the title of the album now, but he said
Ask
he
him what
wanted.
was it he wanted to see
Well,
if we can work out
is it
something.
Detain or is it Detain?
Oh, he wants the time.
Yeah, Time. Yeah, so. Yeah, that's the one that he wanted. I couldn't
Okay,
find the
so
copy, so
just one moment. What you're about to behold is he there at the moment?
yeah, yeah, he's watching because he's my tech support. So it's
So is
like,
he watching right now?
yeah, yeah, he is definitely watching. Oh my god, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's saying, yeah, he just saw like message that oh wow. So that's your drum. So like what do you call it? The drum skin.
Drum
It's called.
skin, yeah. It's an Evans drum skin. And
Yeah.
this is one of three of the original return skins. Okay.
Oh right.
The other two are down in the Horselips one, and the other one of these is down in the new music room that's been built here in Shannon. But Damien O'Rourke and myself are working
Yeah.
towards the music room. So the other two are there.
Yeah.
This one is going into Dolan's warehouse, up in a plaque, and that's a
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic venue in Limerick. So
Oh,
that's the state of play so far. But
so
getting the time,
lips from Shannon? Horse lips from
no,
Shannon? From
no,
Limerick?
Gossips are from England, from the north, from
Oh,
Shannon,
okay, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and from Dublin, and two from Dublin. But it formed and stayed in Dublin. You know.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, he just said that, wow, that's fantastic. He really
Okay.
loves that album.
Okay.
I'm hoping that I'm still on the lookout for it. But I also managed to find there's like a shamrock, a shamrock shaped sort of like horse lip single.
Right, yeah.
I
Did you
do
find one?
like, yeah, because I do like those sort of like shaped disc as well.
That's
So
that's the single loneliness.
yeah, it could, and there's also one that's already signed by the band. I mean, it's not like it's like the signatures were printed on the sleeve, so that was so
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
I know the
yeah,
format you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
green. I do. Yes.
yeah. So
That was a joke. I mean, they were having fun at that point, you know.
okay, so you're not so Horse Lips are not playing anymore because with your brother gone as
Yeah,
well.
we did some bits and bobs. Went out to Greece with Paul Muldoon, things like that. Fiach Moriarty was playing and singing, Barry bass, me drums, Jimmy keyboards, and Paul Muldoon reciting poetry and all that. So it's just that's not Horselips. That's the thing. That wasn't really. It was billed as Horselips, and it kind of. But we didn't masquerade ourselves as Horselips. We just went out as that team because once
Yeah,
John passed away, it was it was like that's it.
yeah,
We're,
that's yeah.
we're actually throwing in the towel, and that went without saying. There wasn't any debate or anything that we'd have to kind of deliberate over or anything like that. It's just obvious. That's
Yeah.
that's it, you know.
And you had a great time with those, like
Oh,
brilliant experiences.
absolutely, Anna. And the main
Yeah,
thing is that's the only way to look at it. We had
yeah,
a we had a
yeah.
brilliant time. So
Well, you mentioned earlier Celtic woman and river dance because I've sort of like did a bit of sort of like reading on that Celtic woman. And I found this forum because and this forum is sort of like because it's like river dance, isn't it? So there are loads of people involved in
yeah,
Celtic
loads of people involved. Not so much dance orientated, music orientated,
music.
big
Yeah,
rhythms,
yeah,
big rhythms and stuff like that.
yeah,
And but insofar as that, lots of people, yeah, it's very similar in some of its premise is very similar to that of Rimmerdas. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, on this forum, I've read that they're actually saying that you're the friendliest of the lot because you actually take time out and then you talk to people and you sign sort of like drumsticks and you sort of like have photos with the fans and everything. But
yeah.
there's someone from this forum. I don't know how long it was. I think it was like a few years ago now. She's had this question and I don't think it's ever been answered. but, but she said she wanted to know why is it that you changed from using mallets and on the DVD. I mean, you use mallets on the DVD to the brushes for the live performance. And
Mhm.
I think, well, what she said, they're like, and I'm hoping that in case she gets to see this, her question will be answered by.
Okay, well, this is getting really interesting now. Really interesting. Okay, yeah, fire ahead.
Yeah, so well, she's all like she calls it the hammer thing. She said it's the hammer thing that you used it on the DVD.
Mm-hmm.
But then she said that you for the live ones, for the live performances,
Uh
you
huh.
only use the brushes or what she calls or like a feather duster.
That's or what we also call them is witches brooms.
Oh, which is
Yeah, witches brooms.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
is there a reason for it that
yeah. I'll
yeah,
explain. I mean, if you're using witches brooms, right, which is these, you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
you'll get a texture which is okay. That's that
yeah.
texture there. Okay, now if you're using a slightly bigger version of it, you get a different texture, but it's the same premise.
Oh, yeah,
Bit harder. That's
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Okay. Then if you want to use dowel rods, then you're using these, right?
Oh, right, okay, yeah, yeah.
That's them ones, okay. And then if you're using mallets,
Or hammer, as she calls them. Yeah,
okay, they're used for swishing, cymbals, getting big sounds out of drums. They're generally very gently played. They're like a boom or a shh. That's what gives it that texture. That's what those are about. And really, what it comes down to is there's lots of different types of textures of sticks. Um, these are completely different altogether.
oh God, I've not seen one. Yeah, I've not seen one of those before.
Yeah, so there's they're the dreadlocks because they look like dreadlocks.
Yeah,
Okay, and let's see what else we've got here now. Come on now. Okay, so basically point out that you could be, depending on what's required of you,
oh, it's a
that
yeah, yeah,
you know, so with Celtic Woman, to answer this girl's question is that um, the reason why I use different sticking is because it gets different textures and it creates different sounds. And those brushy sounds are very much underneath the I suppose underneath the music, with all the big tones, but you're not beating them hard. You're just going and so on. And then when you get to the kit, it's conventional sticks
yeah,
and something like that. And then when you're using, we say perky things like cymbals and all that, it's the mallets. So they're all the different textures that you're using. But if she goes on to, if she Googled Ray Fean, just Google Ray Fean, and
yeah,
you'll see all of that. It's all up there.
yeah, yeah. Because you
Yeah.
have your own website, isn't it? It's a brilliant website. That.
Yeah. I mean, I don't attend to it enough. And then there's the different forums, the fan forums, which fair play to Jim and people for keeping them going. I'm terrible. I'm so bad at communicating with all that. But I didn't put any of that up. That's the strange thing about Google. I didn't put anything up in Google. I
Yeah.
didn't put anything up in
I think it's
Google.
also like the fans, so like trying to, so like get in touch with you, and then maybe if they have a question, they can
Yeah,
so you can
I
reply to it.
set
So,
up a forum. Yeah, I should have set up a
yeah.
forum and did something like that. This is probably one of
Yeah.
the first. This is one of the first I've ever done, actually. To be
Oh,
entirely honest.
right. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you so much. Well,
you.
um, so is there so like a difference between when you do it on DVD? Is that like a so when you put it on DVD, it's not from a live version, or
Oh
you
no,
know?
no, no. Well, I mean, I know all drums are live. Like
Oh,
I
okay.
yeah, like all DVDs that I do are all live. They're all on the spot. That's it. You know.
Yeah,
Now we have a run at it and we have rehearsals and so on, but it's all on the spot. That's the way it works. You know, that's the
yeah,
way it's always worked for me. And I suppose that's part of the pressure. But then when it's done, it's been done okay and everything. It's a great buzz to know that that's there forever. That's the format that's going to be there forever. You know, it's just like it's recorded now, and that's that.
yeah.
You
That's right. Yeah, and people can just watch it so like over and over again if they want.
yeah,
But are you
if
still doing?
yeah.
Are you
Hmm?
still doing Celtic Woman and
No, no, no. I left Celtic Woman a number of years ago now, but I think
oh,
probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I joined a show called Come From Away. If I have anything to show you, I probably do somewhere. Come From Away is about 9/11, when all 38 planes landed in Gander, Newfoundland. There was a town about the size of Shannon, but an airport like Shannon ended up having to deal with um, thousands and thousands and thousands of people in their town, and that's what the show's about. So we opened up um, on we opened up in Dublin, and then we went over to Charing Cross Road to the Phoenix, and where I stayed for about 3 years. So I lived in
oh,
London. Yeah.
oh, I didn't see that. I was so like, I don't think there's any article about it yet. Maybe there is, but I just didn't see that, that bit.
Let's see though, if you can see this, maybe I've loads of memorabilia. Of There's one out on the wall actually. Hold on a second. Hang on one second.
Okay.
Why not? Yeah. Okay.
All right, come from away.
Yeah. That's us
Oh,
at the that's us in the Albert Hall at the
yeah.
Olivier's.
No, I definitely haven't seen that because that logo is very so like striking. I would have so like
Yeah,
seen it.
yeah,
I've seen Celtic Woman and stuff, so
yeah,
I need to go like Google that come from away. So,
mhm, yeah,
uh, well, do you know, I forgot to ask you when we were talking about Tuesday Blue because in 2002 you actually released your second album.
yeah.
Called Waiting for the Magic. So it's still the same lineup, wasn't it? It's the original lineup of.
It was a lineup. Waiting for the Magic was a collection of demos that we put together that were sent to EMI Manhattan, who we were signed with,
Yeah,
and that's where Shibui came from and all that. They didn't really take to it, so and because we didn't sell enough albums to maintain a position within the company, um, they just kind of decided to. And we decided at the same time to just throw in the towel to that. But some years later, we formed just to play a few songs as Tuesday Blue and Dave Keary, but all of us compiled what what um, what demos were actually there. So
yeah. So is that still available, or can you
I
buy it
don't
anywhere?
I
No.
never had one anyway.
Oh.
Again, I never had one again. So,
So will Tuesday Blue be ever so like be doing maybe a few gigs?
in the
Maybe
future,
in the future? Yeah, yeah. So like,
um,
never
I,
say never.
I don't know. I mean, it's very hard to pull a band together with regards to rehearsal and all that kind of stuff. And we don't have a multi-million-dollar conglomerate like behind us or anything like that. So,
Mhm.
in other
Yeah,
words, in order to launch something, it's difficult financially as well. So
yeah.
I really don't know.
And you said you're sort of like semi-retired now, aren't you? From
Yeah, yeah. I
semi.
mean, yeah, I am with regards to anything like that. I'm certainly semi-retired. If the whole idea of going back out on the road would be kind of daunting for me. I'm not saying never say never, and
Never say never. Yeah, that's right.
I'd say never about Tuesday Blue as well. You know, you never know. I mean, for whatever
Yeah, it
something
would
pops
be.
up, you just you kind of go, okay, and it clicks with everyone again. But it's not as if we're ringing each other all the time, going, will we get the band back together and so on. You know, that's not. It's not what we're thinking.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. It would be nice. I mean, if it's in Ireland, I can even sort of like get the Ryanair to Ireland to see you,
Yeah, okay,
to see
that'd be great
Tuesday
to
Blue,
see. Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
and hear "Love Me Simple" played live. That would be really amazing. So, but do you know the one? Because of course you're now doing all these sort of like traditional Irish. So it says actually you're in the forefront of traditional Irish drumming for the last, I don't know, 25 years or something. But so is
30
there
years,
really,
if you know what I mean. Yeah.
is there a big difference between so like that rock drumming? Because you know I mean, you said that you were natural in that sort of like traditional drum,
Yeah.
Irish,
Yeah.
and then but then you become like a rock drummer,
Mm,
and
mm.
then now you're doing a traditional, so like
Yeah, that's it. It really and it's down to the fact that we say rock, um, jazz, country, anything as far as I'm concerned goes. You know, but the reason why I would have gravitated towards Irish playing Irish music because that's where I grew up. I grew up in that whole field. What makes sense of um, the idea of we say trad or traditional drum kit drumming is it's really simple really if you study the tunes you
yeah,
have to learn the tunes like just knocking out a backbeat behind a you know you know like a reel or a jig or whatever it is doesn't work. It's like trying to hammer a square peg into a round hole. You have to learn the melodies, you have to learn the tunes, you have to swirl along with it and do that. So
yeah,
when you know that you're just another member of the melody, so to speak. You know, like let's see if I can get this right. In African music, the melodies in the rhythm. Irish music, the rhythm is in the melody.
all right.
You think
It,
about that one.
I know. It's like, okay, I will do. But so anyone, I mean, if they're like a drummer, it, doing so like the traditional Irish so like drumming, it's not as easy because I know there's a big difference with the rock drummers and jazz. I mean,
Mm.
jazz drumming is more so like complex. Is that right? Is there more so like
It's true to say, and in jazz drumming, I'm not saying that all drumming doesn't have to, doesn't require the melody. It does. It's just that if you take the difference between we say Irish traditional drumming and rock drumming. So generally, you're going to knock out. We say whatever, and it's like that. That's that straight 4/4 thing. Whereas
yeah
we'd say you take a jig or something like that. Right. What you're doing is so there you are in a position where you're kind of that's going and you're doing the same thing. It's the best lesson I could give here right now, but you're leaving out some of it. What parts to leave out? Is where that was where you booked me.
yeah. I mean, I do love drummers, and I did try so like learning how to play the drums, but I couldn't. I mean, really, that's why I always say it's got
I
to
didn't know about
be
that.
in.
I don't
It's
know.
got to be in you because I can't really do.
Well, listen. No matter how much you're born with it, you have to practice it. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
Of
not who
course.
you are
Yeah,
or what you're born with. That's you have to do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Stuff.
Well,
But
Aiden said that apart from Horselips, he also loved Thin Lizzy.
yeah,
Uh, he's actually helped Eric Bell, so like with his solo albums that's just gone in recent years,
hmm
and he also loved the Chieftains,
hmm
Planks Day or something,
oh yeah, nice to
Planks
yeah.
Day,
That's
and
normal.
Sean Oriada,
Honorata.
Sean
Yeah,
Oriada, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's from Aiden. So you're familiar with all those. So
I
are they
watched
all
them.
like
Yeah.
like
they're
legend.
they're all our life's blood, because
Yeah,
the progression of, would say, from traditional Irish music into, coupling with different genres and stuff. That's what kind of gave it a new beginning with horseps and so on. Your chieftains um, were brilliant exponents of that particular format of traditional Irish music around the world. They went all around the world. So stuff like that is very, very important. And he's picked absolutely the right stuff straight
yeah.
away. Yeah.
Well, I know we've been talking for over an hour now, but I've still got just four no regular. I always ask the
Okay.
drummers.
Yeah.
Well, one of them, the first one is, do you twirl when you play drums? Do you do
No,
this?
definitely not.
Oh, no.
No. There's one twirl I'll do, and it's like, if you see, there's two types of grip. Okay, so there's your orthodox grip. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
okay, and then there's a thing called match hand, and that is that. So you go from this to that.
Oh, I see.
Just to
Okay.
actually changing your grip, twirling, all that kind of stuff. No, really, no, no, no.
Not even in horse lips, because is a horse lips like a prog
Yeah.
rock band or something?
No, no, no. I don't.
No,
I don't twirl.
you don't. Twirl.
No twirl. No twirl.
All right. I just think it's really amazing when I see a band. When I go to a gigs, I always make sure that I see the drummer,
Right.
so I can see what they do and how they play it. And then when I see them twirl, I just thought, oh my god, that is so good. So
It's very cool. I mean, it's and it's part of a show. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It,
yeah, yeah, it is.
sure, off we go. Great fun.
And then
Like,
throwing the sticks and then so like
yeah.
catching it and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's not so like part of traditional. Do you do that with traditional Irish drumming? So like you have.
No, no. To be no twirling. Twirling would be just classified as a kind of a unnecessary. What do you
Oh
twirl?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Um, but like playing is what it's about. So twirling, no, it doesn't apply at all. Sorry, Anna.
No, it's all right. Well, the second question is, I can see that is that Ringo there, or is that the Beatles or like thing?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So drumming heroes.
Drumming heroes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Ringo. And he was in the Beatles. He thought he was in the
Yeah.
Beatles. Ray thought he was in the Beatles. He wasn't in the Beatles. He was Blue. But that's Ringo, and that's me on Open Zildjian Day, Massachusetts, Boston area. And Zildjian opened their doors to me,
Yeah.
a guest of honor, at the plant. And
Oh,
there was a number of kits in there. And of course, it was fantastic. There's that's part of my family. That's very much part of my family, Zildjian. Um, and that's one of the original Ringo kits.
oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But is that so? That's actually you sitting on so like
Yeah,
Ringo's.
yeah.
Is that Ludwig or
It's true.
no Zildjian? So like
Yeah.
because I remember someone. Yeah.
Okay, so the cymbals are
Yeah.
Zildjian. Okay, that's them there, and the drums are Ludwig.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I
Mm.
remember someone actually so like commented on my post that Ringo had so like a Ludwig
Oh,
drum
that's
kit.
all he ever played. That's all he ever played. But all he ever played was Ludwig. And then and then I came along and booted one of the Beatles, and then Ray was in the Beatles, but I wasn't. It's not me. Oh, that is me, but I'm not in the Beatles. So there you
You know,
go.
what drum kit do you use?
I'm a Pearl and Dorsey, full Pearl and Dorsey, a full Zildjian cymbals, um,
Yeah.
and Vic Firth sticks, which I love. I love the feel of them and so on. Very, very important what you put in your hands.
Yeah.
And I'm Evans skins and Roland electronics. So that's all my
Is
endorsements.
is there a major difference between all these? So like, or can and a drummer can play any so like brand of the drum kit?
You can play any. You can. play any brand if you can play,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. And like if you're, we say, Pearl, Tama, Ludwig, whatever it is, they are all just tubs drums at the end of the day. That's actually what they are. And um, different manufacturers make different drums, or make drums differently, I should say, and consequently they you know, I might like the sound of, of those particular drums, but someone else would say, oh well, I prefer Tama drums and whatever. So that's the way kind of just you just gravitate towards the sound you like. That's all.
Yeah. But only the drummers can hear the difference, though, can they? I mean, if you're
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
regular music fan,
yeah,
it's really.
yeah. They're kind of small differences, but it means it's actually a big thing to a drummer, I suppose. You know, it's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
that's yeah, yeah.
Well, the next question is, how about I call these drumming disasters. Have you ever had any sort of like accidents in your years? Because you've been playing since you're like a teenager or something. Have you ever had
Oh,
any accidents?
oh, yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. Okay, so with the Ray Fean drum kit, as you saw, it's pretty big, right? So you have your drums, your hi hat, and all that here. I'm left-handed, so I'm playing away there. I have my drums down around this way, if you can see it, and then
Yeah.
over here along this part is more drums. But these drums here are kit drums. These drums here are percussion drums. Then over my head, I have a thing called a kodo drummer, which is a big, huge
Oh my god.
a Daiko type drum, and
Yeah.
then back here I have a table with percussion and so on it. That's fine. So I'm facing this way, but I'm over
Yeah.
here and I'm playing the tom toms, and then I go to the big drum behind me, okay,
Yeah.
and then on my way back, which is kind of really breakneck speed stuff, I have to grab the sticks from this area, and there's a bottle, a water bottle, lying flat on the ground. So I put all my weight on the water bottle, which is closed, and of course it rolls. So
Oh,
I roll, whee, up
oh,
the floor, back, two legs, like one on the floor tom, the other one on the snare drum. I'm going, oh, gee, I'm trying to get up. I'm like a turtle on the ground. But on my way down, to add insult to injury, um, I actually banged the back of my head off that table,
oh, oh no.
which nearly knocked me out altogether. So I got up. Eventually, I kind of got to my feet and I took a bow and I left it at that. It was live, of course, and that was my big. That was my. Of course, the crew were roaring laughing. They thought this was hilarious altogether. It just left me up in the podium, you know, watching everything.
But the audience didn't see it because they were
Oh,
so like,
yeah, they did.
oh, they saw it.
4,000 of them saw it. I believe it.
Oh my god, has it been
Why I
captured?
took
Is
the
it
bow.
all like,
You know? So yeah, shit happens, as they say. You know.
yeah? I wonder if someone saw like captured it and put it on YouTube or something.
It was too fast. It happened so quick.
It was too fast.
That was my only saving grace, was the fact that it actually happened so quickly. Other than that, I was
Yeah.
calm. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
again, talking about so like the setup. Which gig was that? It so like sounded like an incredible sort like drum setup for that gig.
Yeah, that was one of the tours. I'm not sure. I think it was the Believe tour, which was Celtic Woman, and that particular setup was for Red Rocks in Colorado. You see, what you do is you'd be in the studio and you work out what it is that you need to play and so on. So when you've recorded the music in the studio and so on, you've a fair idea of what you need to put in front of you. So then you go to the warehouse and you start to dig out things and you build a kit. You build a kit mainly for functionality. Kits that I was using were for two reasons: were for drumming as a sit-down kit, and for percussion over
Oh,
the other side. That
yeah,
was a very important part of it. So I was grounding it with the drum kit, and then I go over and play percussion and so on. So that's the amount of drums that I actually needed. It looks ridiculous, I suppose, to an extent, but everything was used and used regularly on stage, just for the type of music it was. And then the next tour, you might, a different DVD, different album, and you'd have a different setup, slightly different setup.
yeah. Because I do so like wonder sometimes. It's like the drummer of Rush, and you see all these sort of like different parts of like
Yeah,
drums in it. Does he ever use all of them?
He does use them at one interval or another. Like I wouldn't necessarily use certain percussion instruments, but I'd use them at an interval for a reason. So in order to have that there at that time for that reason, it has to be set up. So between one thing and another, it looks like, you know, a lot of stuff, but you don't play all of it all the time. You know, you play the kit all the time. You play
Yeah, yeah,
things, you know, now and again. But that adds to the texture. That's what makes the show interesting. Also, if you get it as a really, you know, fantastic looking setup, it actually becomes part of the show in a way, you know.
yeah, yeah.
So,
It's great for the stage as well,
mm,
isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Well,
exactly, yeah.
yeah. Well, my last question now is
Mm.
advice to drummers, aspiring drummers, and musicians in general.
My advice to any musician and drummer is practice. I mean, that sounds corny, but practice what you don't know. Best thing to practice is the possible event that might happen if in the event somebody comes up that you be able to play it. Whatever you do, practice for studio. Drummers, practice for the studio. Get your metronome out. You may not necessarily use it at the time, but if it's put up in front of you, what often happens, people that don't practice with metronome pre-studio and the red light goes on, and next thing they're out of time. And it's a terrible revelation. It's awful to kind of
Yeah,
realize that, oh, I'm not ready for this. So what I'm saying is practice. And when you think you have it, and you have it, practice more and again and again and again. Keep practicing. Keep working on different things that you can't do. Once you can do something, don't work on it anymore. You can
yeah,
touch it up, but find out the things that you can't do and listen to others and learn from other people. But that's it. I mean, it's difficult for drummers to practice living in suburbia. You know, it's not like you pick up a guitar.
yeah. It's
We have
like really loud.
pops at our door and everything. Yeah, it's just, I think there was a kind of I might have been served an eviction notice, like a very commissioned one. But in the meantime, I say practice. Don't go to jail.
Don't
Practice.
go to jail. Yeah, just practice. Yeah, and so like try to do it, and then see what the neighbors. If the neighbors are out, then that's the time you practice
There you
yourself.
go. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's an allocated time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my
Well,
real advice. Delve into it, and you know, and the thing about it is, if you practice a lot, you actually find out. You actually find a practice regime that you like. You know, it's not a chore to practice.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
That
Yeah,
you go off on a journey with it and really enjoy it, and keep working on it. And then the sense of achievement is wonderful when you actually get something and you know you have it. You know you have that now. I'm able to play that, and then you know that's a great buzz. Work for the buzz. You know, do work for
yeah.
it, enjoy it.
Well, so I like that. Work for the bus. Yeah, that's. Yeah.
So,
Well, any plans of you maybe doing a gig in England
uh,
or something?
nothing planned in the near future, and not that I
Yeah,
know. And it's okay. You know, I'm not overly pushed right now because there's been so much of it. It's been incredible, really. And yeah, nothing planned for the minute. No.
okay. Well, hopefully I'll get to see you play
Mm.
drums on stage
Yeah,
live
if you're
someday.
in Ireland, give me a shout and we'll go for a coffee.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. I think the police is there now, so like, I better end this.
Me. I go now. Bye.
Well,
Bye.
thank you, thank you so much, Ray. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, even Aiden said this has been a fantastic interview. I totally agree. It's just, and I'm sorry about all those so like technical things that we had earlier.
That's me. That was
Yeah.
my.
Like, I mean, hopefully, yeah, we'll get to see you. I mean, there's Shannon Airport. Easy, so like go to Shannon. So,
I mean,
so,
it's not difficult. I mean,
yeah,
it's one of the small airports, which is fantastic, but it's international.
yeah,
So that's great.
yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Well, hopefully meet you someday. Thank you so much, Ray. Enjoy
You're
the
very
rest of your
welcome.
weekend. I'm off to
Yeah.
see John Coughlin from Status Quo this
Oh
evening.
wow.
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's got this new reimagined Status Quo. So like more, he said it's more like a jazzy thing. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Enjoy.
and
Okay.
hopefully someday I'll do the same. You know, I'll get to meet you as well. So
All right. We'll stay in
uh,
touch anyway. Like you have me
yeah,
on
yeah,
list.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're
And
very
yeah,
welcome, Anna. All the
yeah,
best. Thank
take
you.
care. All
Thank
right.
you. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live. Oh, that's so amazing. I mean, yes, Aiden, this has been a fantastic interview. I'm really, really grateful for Ray Fean and for saying yes to Asta Chama and my dear fellow New Wavers. I mean, it's like absolutely amazing. Let's keep our fingers crossed for hopefully maybe a gig or two or maybe three. And if the organizers or the what do you call it, the gig promoters in the Philippines is listening, I mean, they're there. They're still in Ireland. I know that there's always the new wave invasion in the Philippines, so you can always sort of like contact Ray Fiend and then ask them if maybe they're willing to go to the Philippines and play their Love Me Simple and all these sort of like amazing tunes from Tuesday Blues. So fingers crossed. Anyway, so thank you all so much for joining us live. Like I said, I'm going to see John Coughlin this evening in Chester, so I'm really looking forward to that one. Another drummer, a legend, So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hope you come back next week, next Sunday. We're going to have another amazing drummer from New York next week. So I hope to see you all then. And as always, love music, love life, love drummers. They're absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed that chat with Ray. So hope to see you all again soon. Bye for now. Bye.